Here is what we are up to today. If you followed along in one of the previous videos, you'll know that we had to repair the silage rake. Now we use this silage rake for the real tall bunks. This bunk isn't as tall as it once was because we're almost to the end of it. But we ended up buying a new defacer, which you're going to see here in a little while. We use the silage rake. We're currently using this because we don't have a defacer. But prior to the defacer wearing out, we would use this to knock down the real tall part of the bunk and then go in with a defacer. We can knock the feed down a lot faster with this, and then we would just use the defacer to finish up the face of the bunk. We won't see that new defacer here for probably another couple weeks, so this video there's going to be some time in between when we started this video and when you see the new defacer. We do have some parts that'll be here today to put the ends back on our old defacer, which we'll show you that here in a little while. I was just filming the use of the silage rake from when we fixed it, and you'll have to go back to one of the prior videos here. We had to make up some new pieces to go on either end to hold the tines. So we'll show you what happened to our old defacer, and then here a little later on in this video you'll see the new defacer, which again is not here yet. So we'll leave him alone and let him keep after it here. We do have 2 mixer wagons as well that I have not listed for sale yet, but they are for sale. Both of these mixers, we put liner kits in. This one's about 5 years ago on a liner. The screws are a little better in this one than they are this one here. This one we ended up putting a stainless liner in it. And this one has got screws that aren't in the best shape. These screws are only going to last a little while longer. But it does have a stainless liner on the steel liner. So as far as liners go, this one is in real good shape. However, it needs new screws. This one's got the rear commodity door. This one does not. This one should have the stainless liners put into it. You can see the screws are in a little better shape on this one. We've got 5 knives on each screw in these mixer wagons. Both of them are twin screw, and both of these mixers are 1200s. Tires are decent, however they are not new. Other than that, these are in working order. If you guys are interested in these, just drop me an email at farmandfixing@gmail.com and we can discuss price. We're accepting offers here at the moment. So, all right, let's get back to the rest of things here. But he's already moved right along on that bunk. But you could see as he was back here farther, the bunk was a lot taller, and our old defacer didn't reach it, so we would use this one to knock the hay or the corn silage down at the highest point. We ended up buying a defacer that's like 4 foot longer, and that will have a little more reach than the current one that we have. But the one that we have now it's just wore out, and it was needing to be replaced. That is a Fritsch silage rake, and we have Fritsch defacers. So we'll show you that old defacer. All right, so now you kind of understand what we use the silage rake for. This is our silage defacer. We have ordered a new one. And the reason why we ordered a new one is this one is getting wore out. We are very thin on the ends, but they tell me that it's just the very end of the tube that is wore, not in here. I beg to differ, but that's where we're at with this. So all the tines are wore out. These should be at least 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe even 3/8. I don't know what they started at when they were new, but they're getting thin. Well, Andy, you could just cut all them off in there and weld new ones on. Well, yeah, I could do that, but that's an awful lot of them to cut off and an awful lot of them to weld on. If I'm gonna weld new tines on, I'd rather weld them on a new piece of pipe. So what we have done, our guy ended up having a couple of bolts come out on this here last year. I think Sarah welded this up. We ran a couple of welds down on these tubes here and there and everywhere. And this frame has been fatigued and it has been compromised. So I ordered a new one. Ordered one that was 4 foot longer. Should give us a little more reach. Maybe we won't have to use the silage rake as much. However, I wanted to keep this one around so if we have a motor issue on the new one or what have you, we've got one, the guy can just unhook it, hook onto this one, or he could have a minor event where he leaves these hoses hooked up to the payloader. They've done that a few times. Rip them off, and then I can say, hey, just use the other defacer. So I wanted to keep this one going. This came in the shop the other day because it was leaking oil on this left side. So it was on a Sunday. I peeked in there and I could see the motor doing this. So I said, well, I have seen that before. I have seen all these bolts break off. It was on this drive motor. So this drive motor has this square hub on it. This part here is part of that hub assembly. So I assumed the bolts were broke off. Jacob took it apart. What you have to do is you have to take these 5 bolts, 5 3/4 inch bolts out of the end. Pull the end off. It's got this square hub on there. So that's what it looks like when it's together. Then there is a receiver hub on the inside of that drum. So he got it apart and it was all just thin. You can see how thin the pipe is, and then it's thin here too because there's feed that gets in there and it rides around it. So I said, well, there goes my theory there. I can't use this in a spare type arrangement. So I said, well, I hate to throw the whole thing out because the drive motors are good and that part of the frame is salvageable. You know, it'd be nice to have something to use. I mean, I could replace that, but then why buy a whole new one? So what I ended up doing is buying new ends. This cost me a couple grand. Like the new defacer was 16 or 17,000. I don't know what that new drum cost. I probably should get another one, but I didn't order that this time around. So this is a wore out one. Just the material got thin and wore away. And this is what it should look like. This is how thick it should be here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this motor unbolted from that one, get it bolted in the new one, put that on, pull that side there off, do the same thing to that, bring the forklift over, lift the drum up, slide it onto the side that I put on first. Now you can see there's a square hub drive down in the center of that. and we'll get to getting here. So we'll disassemble this and assemble it back up, and we'll show you the next couple of steps here as we go. But eventually I'll probably buy a new drum here because, well, I don't know, there's a tiny little bit of life still left in this. He has broke off a couple of the outside spikes. We have welded new ones on, but just like anything else, we run the ends right into the wall, and you know, you can't pull up parallel to it. You gotta come into the wall like that and just grind down through it. So we're gonna have to get him corrected a little bit. So let's get to disassembling here. so these damn things are heavier than hell. I had to use the forklift to kind of help me get that one on. So we have the left side installed. The motor on this one is getting real thin. The bolts are starting to show. But I think we're going to try to extend the life of it a little bit, because maybe there won't be as much stuff running around inside here with the thicker housing on there. And if we replace this rotor someday, well, we'll just go till that motor ends up failing. So obviously this one here is wore out, and it was gotten to the point where it couldn't hold itself together. Here's the right side here. It's been scrubbed down the wall a fair amount. It's a little thin, but what we have to do to this one is we have to take the drive hub off. We have to get this hub off, because that motor is not going to come out. This hub won't fit through this round part of the housing. So that has to come completely off. And it has to come off so it allows us to get the bolts out. So we'll go ahead and dig that off of there. All right, we are now ready to set our motor in this new housing. Here's what this old one looks like. It's a little wore out, and I have just discovered that this hub does fit through this here, but I don't know if this hub is wore down enough to whereas it didn't before. But for whatever reason, we took that off, and we did not need to. Maybe it has something to do with these bolts. Maybe I can't get the bolts in. I don't know. I don't remember why we've been taking them off, but that was what we had going on. So we may have not needed to do that, but at any rate, we'll get that in there. What do you got going on there?
I have a tire that looks like it's a bulge.
Oh, really? All right. All right, so we have our motor mounted into the new housing, which again, for whatever reason, I've always been taking them frickin' square drives off before we pull the motor out. Maybe the new one is a little wider than that round hole. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift the drum up, take it that way a little ways, and then bring it over onto that square drive. We'll get it lined up, and then we'll put a floor jack underneath it or something, bring the other one in, or just hold it up with one strap or what have you. Then we'll bring the other one in, and we gotta kind of line that other motor up to the other side, you know, whichever way it's gonna be, and then rotate it downward to put the bolts in. So we'll see if we can't get this lined up. Oh, let's see, Andrew, that hub assembly is right square up and down. Just like that. So watch these things here, they are sharp. All right, that went on pretty easy. My problem is these straps aren't made by the same outfit, and one is a little longer than the other, but we'll let this down a little bit and then we can use that strap on bringing the right hand housing over, and we'll get that set up. So we'll just let this down. We'll let that slack out of it, Andrew. We'll take that new strap off, and then we'll use this new strap on that other housing. I'll just lift that back up. I gotta come forward a little bit and get that other machine going here. All right, we've got this all ready to go, and it acts like it's a little heavy for the forklift. Now, we brought it in with the forklift, but it didn't have the rotor on there. Neither did it have the two new ends on them. New ends are about 180 pounds a piece. So we got new hardware on this right hand side, but we got used hardware on the left. And if I decide to get a new rotor, we'll take the left side off to put the new rotor on, and then we'll put new hardware in on that left side. Does it get the stamp of approval? It's ready to go to battle again. Huh?
Yeah.
That's a little heavy on the old forklift, huh? Yeehaw. All right, he's gonna set this out of the way, and Geronimo will I think we're gonna set it out of the way. It'd be nice to get it out of the driveway. I guess maybe we should have left it in the shop. I'll provide some extra ballast here. That should work. Alright, on to the next job here. We'll show you some video of this in action, and then there'll be some time before we get our new one. You know, there'll be some time between these segments here, so we'll join up with you guys in a while here. Alright, so we are in the same bunk that we were in when he scratched this with the silage rake. And we're also right at the point where we got done feeding last year, so from the 4 foot up is last year's silage on top, and then we're right up to 23's silage right there. So we've got a little bit of a mold presence there, but that is from the 2024 silage meet in 2023. So that's what you see there. But what we'll do with that silage rake is we will claw it down and then go over it with the defacer, because we need to go in farther than we need to knock down enough to make it worthwhile, and then we'll just touch it off with the defacer to leave a tighter face. If you were to take a string and match it up all the way across that face from what the silage rake did, and stretch it out, you'd actually have more surface area exposed because of the jagged edges of what that silage rake left. So I really shouldn't get too close to this, because that is considered unstable, because we have 2024 up against 2023, so this whole thing could come right back this way. You should really never get up next to these bunks anyways, but you could see the job that defacer's doing. It's not a real good representation of the job that they do, because we're between silages here. But at least it's working good, and we will join up with you guys when the new one comes in.